Have you ever been writing an email or maybe talking in a meeting and just paused? Doubted yourself? Well, those tricky little English rules can trip up pretty much everyone. But here's the good news. Making mistakes is a totally normal part of learning. So today we're going to dive in and clear up some of the most common ones.
A apple or an apple? Much money or many money? Yeah, if those questions sound familiar, you are so not alone. These are classic sticking points in English. But you know what? The logic behind them is actually way simpler than you think once you see it all laid out.
And that's the most important thing to remember here. This isn't about being perfect. It's about understanding. We're going to break these rules down step by step so you can feel way more confident using them. Let's fix them together. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into some key business phrases to help you sound like a pro. Then we'll tackle the grammar behind it all, like the whole a and the situation and the deal with counting nouns. After that, we'll solve the much versus many puzzle, and we'll wrap it all up with a quick quiz to see what sticks.
Okay, first up, let's talk business. Honestly, using just the right phrase can make a huge difference. It just makes you sound so much more professional and clear. And that's always the goal, right?
Check this out. It's so helpful to think about business language in these three buckets. You've got doing business, which is all about actions, like to sign an agreement. Then there's good business. That's the positive stuff, like when you boost sales. And of course, bad business covers the tough spots, like slipping sales figures. Simple, right? All right, time for a little pop quiz. Look at these four phrases. Three of them fit nicely into one of those categories we just saw. So, which one is the odd one out? And the answer is slipping sales figures. The other three, new and improved, a good deal, and boost sales, they're all positive, all about good business. See how thinking in categories makes it easier to remember this stuff? Now that idea of being precise, it doesn't just apply to big business phrases. It applies to the tiny words too. So let's tackle one of the biggest mix-ups in all of English, the articles a, an, and the. So why does she has cat sound, well, wrong? It's because in English, when you have a singular noun you can count, like cat, it pretty much always needs a little word in front of it. The real question is, which one? Okay, step one is knowing there are two main types. We've got indefinite articles, that's a or an, and they talk about a general thing, any old cat, not a special one. But the definite article, the, points to a specific thing, like the cat we were just talking about. And here is the secret for choosing between a and an. It's not about the letter a word starts with, it's about the sound. If the next word starts with a consonant sound, like b in book, you use a. If it starts with a vowel sound, like a in apple, you use an. It's all about making it sound smooth. Okay, let's switch gears a little to counting versus not counting. Now, this idea is the foundation for our next big topic. Before we can talk about how much of something there is, we have to know what kind of thing we're dealing with.
And it's actually super straightforward. Countable nouns are just things you can count, one by one. One student, two students. Easy. Uncountable nouns are things you can't really separate into individual units, like water, money, or traffic. You wouldn't say, I have 3 monies, right? Getting this difference down is totally key.
And that leads us perfectly into the great quantity puzzle. Once you know if a noun is countable or uncountable, picking the right word to describe its quantity becomes a piece of cake. Here's the main rule you need to know. Use much for the stuff you can't count, like money or time, and use many for the stuff you can count, like students or books. So you'd ask, how much traffic is there, but how many cars are there? Makes sense, right?
And guess what? The exact same logic applies when we're talking about small amounts. We use a little for uncountable things, like a little sugar. And we use a few for countable things, like a few apples. It's the same principle, just on a smaller scale. Now for my favorite part, the shortcut. If you are ever in doubt, these words right here are your new best friends. A lot of, plenty of, enough, hardly any, they are magic because they work with both countable and uncountable nouns. A lot of students is perfect. A lot of water is also perfect. It's a fantastic trick to have up your sleeve.
Okay, you've seen the rules, you've seen the shortcuts. Now it's time to put it all into practice. Let's do a couple of quick fire questions. You ready? First one up. We've got blank popcorn in a bowl. Should that be some or any? I'll give you a second to think about it.
And the answer is some. As a general rule, we use some in positive sentences like this one. We're stating a fact. We have the popcorn. We're not asking about it or saying we don't have it. Nice work.
All right, one more for you. How blank brothers and sisters have you got? Is it much or is it many? Think about that noun, brothers and sisters.
It's many. You got it. Why? Because you can count brothers and sisters, right? They're individual, countable people, so we've got to use many. Excellent job.
And just like that, we're at the end. We've gone over a lot today, from big business ideas to the tiny little words that can make all the difference. So I'll leave you with this question. What other small English rule gives you trouble? Keep on asking, keep on learning, because that's how you're going to keep improving.